You've come to the right place if you want to learn how to get rich and do it nice and slow.
What the f does that mean?
You've all heard the phrase, get rich quick schemes, right? Well, the reason why they're called schemes is because there's no such thing as getting rich quick. But there is a fun way to get rich kind of slow if you're willing to take some years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 or 5. For me, it probably took closer to 15 years before this really started to work for me. So it's definitely a slow play. This is how you can make money using real estate, because I think that's ultimately the goal of why people buy real estate. The main goal is obviously need a place to live. I know I love my house. This house does not make me any money because I live in it. It's a liability. It costs me money. I do have another property that does produce income for me. That one's my rental property. So that one, the amount of money that my mortgage is and the amount of money I get from the rental every single month pays for the mortgage, pays for the expenses, and then gives me a little bit extra. And to me, I think that's ultimately the goal, right? That's what financial freedom is. If you got fired from your job today, tomorrow, would you still have money coming in? And where's that money coming from? And that's ultimately the goal, right? You can do that through real estate. I know that no matter what, even if for whatever reason, they said, Braden, you got to stop doing mortgages. You can't do mortgages anymore. Tattoos aren't allowed. They don't like bald white guys talking about finances and mortgages. You're out. You can't do this anymore. I'd be okay because I have additional real estate properties that make me money. You can do that same thing with your situation. And it all starts with getting that first house. You have to get the first one. Usually it has to be a primary home. The reason for that is because of the power of leverage, the power of using your equity and appreciation. So I think I've told this story a million times, but when I bought my very first house, I bought in a down market. I bought when the market, it was right after the crash, but it hadn't fully bottomed out yet. I didn't earn money in my home for a few years. It actually lost value before it started to go back up again. Made me a good chunk of money, which I was able to sell it, buy this property, leverage some of the equity in this property to buy another property. And that's kind of the name of the game. If you can use the equity to, just do the minimum down payments, and you always want to make sure that your expenses, whatever it's going to cost you, is going to be covered by the amount of money that you'll be bringing in monthly via rent. Because one of the benefits of being, a half ginger, having no soul, I don't have a lot of emotional feelings.
Do you know who is Ginger? Judith.
For me, everything is mathematical. So when I go to buy a house, if specifically as an investment property, I take the emotion out of it. Because I know if it's going to make me money, I want to buy it. If it's not, I don't want to buy it. And it's that simple. They're going to make you money or they're not going to make you money. The math is the math, right? The good news is I have a tool that breaks that all down for you. It'll literally plug in the property address, the taxes, even throw in other expenses like maintenance if you were to have a property manager or a cleaner. Any and all expenses that you can think of, we can plug into this thing and figure out how much money we would need to make in rent to cover it. And then if that rent is realistic based on the area where that property is. I have all of that data. Then I can give you a report. You can say, you know what, I think I want to buy this, investment property. I'm going to hang on to it for 6 years and then I'm going to sell it. We can literally break down exactly what that looked like based on actual appreciation values historically and where we think they would be going. I'm very conservative with my estimates. I try to give everything worst case scenarios. So if for example, if the historical average on home appreciation is 5% year over year, I'm going to set my parameters to 4%. I'm basically going to say, you know what, let's just assume that the market's going to do worse than it did the year before. That way you can make the projections, because if you base it off of a worst case scenario and you still make money, think about how well it's going to do in a best case scenario. My short-term rental that I have up north, priced it all out using these worst case scenario numbers. And then the first year when we actually rented it, it performed better than my best case scenario on what I thought it could do. You can mitigate a lot of these risks just by knowing the numbers in advance. If you haven't bought your very first house, if you are not a homeowner yet, you need to get into a house. There's so many different ways to do it. The biggest excuses I get right now for not being able to buy a house, credit's not good enough or they don't have any money. Both of those are bullshit reasons. I've done loans with just terrible credit, like we're talking low to mid 500s I can do loans for. And then money, you don't need it. I mean, you don't need a lot of it anyway. Most of my clients close on average with $3,000 or less total out of pocket using down payment assistance, zero down programs. Again, just know you have tons of options. The only tough one that is hard to get around is when you have too much debt or not enough income. You gotta get your debt under control. You gotta get your budgeting under control. Income-wise, you have to make sure you're living within your means, especially if you're trying to qualify for a certain amount, you need to make a certain amount of money for that. Real estate is one of the best tools to create wealth for yourself, to create financial freedom. because you can do it over and over and over. Historically, they increase in value. They are constantly and consistently going up. They're more expensive every year, right? Everyone keeps saying it. Should have bought that house last year. Should have bought 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. Like, we know that home values consistently go up, and we can continue to see that in the future because of the supply versus demand. Right now, there's still just tons of people that need houses and not enough houses out there to meet all of those demands. If you can get in one for very little money out of pocket, live in it, just have it meet your needs. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. Everyone gets so caught up on this house having to be perfect. Like, no, in the beginning, you just need a house. Like, you just need anything that's going to work that you know is going to increase in value in the future. You wait a few years, you leverage that equity, pull money out for a large down payment on a new property that you're going to buy specifically as a rental, and that rental income that you got coming in from it is going to cover more than all of your expenses. And you just keep doing that over and over and over until all of a sudden you've got money coming in from a bunch of different rental places. And guess what? You won't even need to work anymore, and you can finally quit that job and retire early. And that is how you do it. That was really fast. So if you'd like more information on this, or if you'd like to know how to get started, again, if you need your very first house and you don't know how to get started, that's what I do. Give me a call. If you're a homeowner now and you've been a homeowner for a few years and you want to look into the idea of buying an investment property, let's run the numbers. Give me a call today. It's super easy to do. In most cases, I don't even need an application to run these. I just need a property address and your estimate credit score, and then I can get you some numbers. Hopefully this is helpful. We can get you started getting going in real estate. Anybody can do it. A guy like me can do it. You can do it.